I'd like to call to order the public safety meeting for this evening. Can we have a roll call, please? Commissioner Shriver? Here.
Here. Here. Here. Here.
Thank you. Now can we have a motion to approve the minutes of the March 4th?
Second.
All those in favor, or any corrections, changes? All those in favor?
Aye.
Moving right along. First, before we get into the actual agenda, I'd like to, and Chief Kelly's report, or moving into his report, I would also like to congratulate our County Commissioner, Josh Shapiro, who was appointed as Chair of the Pennsylvania Commission on Crime and Delinquency. And I think in Chief Kelly's remarks, he's going to explain to us a little bit more what that commission is, what they do, what they're responsible for.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd be happy to do that. It's certainly a great honor for our Commissioner and the head of the County Commissioners, Josh Shapiro, to be appointed in this position by Governor Wolf. The Pennsylvania Commission on Crime and Delinquency for many years has probably been the driving force behind innovation in all of law enforcement and criminal justice. They handle everything from victims issues to the courts to juvenile issues to progressive things in law enforcement and so on, and have had a great reputation for doing that. They have an entire commission of people who are appointed, as well as a very large staff, paid staff, and of course the governor has the opportunity to appoint someone as the chairman of that, and today announced that it was going to be Josh Shapiro who was going to be the chairman of that commission. And many of our programs, all of our DARE training for many years, and even funding for the DARE program came from the Commission on Crime and Delinquency. Our community policing program was started with grant funding from the Commission on Crime and Delinquency. Our program on crime prevention, again, funding from the Commission on Crime and Delinquency, and many other programs in our community and around the state. So it's really a great opportunity and great honor, and we're certainly looking forward to working with Commissioner Shapiro as always. And but this is a great honor, and having been on the commission for many years myself, I can tell you that the person that is in the position of the chairman is a very powerful and very respected position. Moving on to the report, Madam Chair, members of the committee, just a few things to report to you. We've had a couple of scams going on that you may or may not have heard about. Just want to make sure that you did. We've had one where people are going to file their tax returns and finding out that someone has already sent in their taxes and had the tax return sent to them. So they're actually stealing people's tax return, even though it isn't necessarily their return that they're getting the money from. And so I mention that because we've had a lot of them all around the country, certainly a lot of them all around Greater Philadelphia. And so you probably will be hearing from some constituents that maybe have dealt with this. If they, as soon as they hear that, have them call the police. We come out and make a report. We work with the federal authorities on trying to track that down, and just wanted to make you aware of that. Second one that we have is we've had a pretty significant number of credit cards compromised in the Glenside section of our township. We're tracking it down. Not exactly sure where it's happening, but obviously someplace where credit cards are being used. Someone is stealing the credit IDs and then is using that. And we wanted to mention that to you because there is a device now that criminals are using, and they actually put it right on the front of ATMs. Mm-hmm. You've all heard of that, right? And the thing that's interesting about that, and Deputy Chief Livingood wanted me to make sure that I told you about it, is that it usually takes a significant period of time before that credit card is being used again. Usually when they steal a credit card, they go out and use it right away because they want to use it before you report it. Mm-hmm. But in this particular case, you don't know that they've stolen your ID, so there's no rush on their part. Matter of fact, they can't retrieve all that information until they take the front of the machine back off. and then go through this process. So usually it's a month later. And the significance of that is that when we talk to people, when we go to take a report, they say, well, I can't remember, let's see, last time I used it. Well, it wouldn't be last time they used it. It would be 3 weeks or a month before that. So that's where we have to go back and work on that, and I just wanted to mention that. But nonetheless, if anybody is a victim of that, we want them to come and report it to us, because we're chasing those down as much as possible, obviously.
Chief, can I ask you a question about that?
Yes, Commissioner.
Is that, do you suspect, or maybe you don't know this, that it's from an ATM machine, or is it somebody actually using their credit card to purchase things?
In this particular case, Commissioner, what it is, it's a device that's put on the very front of an ATM machine. You can't see it. And when you put your card in to use the ATM, it copies down your information, including the information off your magnetic strip.
So you know it's not from somebody going into a particular store, whatever store that is, and using it to, like a debit card to purchase things?
No. What happens is they get the information, then they create, it seems like they're sending them all to New York City. Somewhere in New York is where this is coming out of. We've tracked it down that far, and they make new cards from them, and then they use the cards like they're yours. And, of course, you haven't even reported stolen because you still have your card, and it isn't until they've racked up quite a bit on it that you even know anything's going wrong with it. And they're invisible on the front of them, and usually because they've taken them off, before they can even get your ID from it, they have to take this facade off the front of the machine. So you wouldn't even know that it was there, or can't go back and see it on there because it's already off the machine.
Chief, are you finding them to be in like convenience stores or convenient area type ATMs more so than in ATMs at a bank? I mean, is there any kind of correlation between that?
Commissioner, we've tried to identify that in our township, and we haven't. It's been all over. We've found them in the lobbies of banks. We've found them in convenience stores. So unfortunately, it'd be great if we could just warn people about a specific area, but we've found them in banks right here on Old York Road.
Thank you.
Chief, I was wondering, obviously some of the places where these are going to be located are going to be under camera surveillance, so I don't know if by chance anyone's been caught removing these, but you don't have any of the actual devices. You haven't been able to grab one of these devices itself, have you?
We don't, Commissioner. We've seen pictures of them that have been obtained and so on. The problem with the pictures, as you know, is that people only keep that film for a relatively short period of time, and then they're on a loop and they film over it. So long before we even have a chance, usually, to figure that out, that's long gone. That's the thing that makes this one especially tricky, and why we wanted to alert everybody about this unique aspect of it, because it's really different than any of these other trends we've seen in the past, and there is that big time gap. So people need to just know that, but still report it, and we'll follow through on it.
I've definitely heard of this scam. I don't know if I've ever seen one of these things. I mean, maybe I've used one, not even known it. Are there any telltale signs that people can look for before they put their card in the machine, that people should be on the lookout for, or is it really not something an ordinary person would be able to spot?
I don't think so, Commissioner. I don't think it is able to be seen. And actually, some police officers have actually lost their IDs in these machines, so that know about the scam. So they didn't. It wasn't evident enough that they even noticed it.
Gotcha. Thank you, Chief.
Any other question? Commissioner Gillespie.
Yeah, Chief, I just wanted to ask, the area I'm thinking of, can they use it at gas pumps? I mean, do they put this on, can it be put on gas pumps? I was just wondering, because gas pumps, people use their debit cards a lot in those, and I'm just...
Yes, Commissioner, we do know of cases that has been on the gas pump.
That's what I was
Yes.
kind of alluding to. Okay, thank you.
Any further questions? You have more on your report?
I do, just a couple others, Commissioner.
Sure.
Some of you might have seen a kind of a story that took a big, got a lot of publicity, even national news as of last night, was a arrest we made at the Target store here in Old York Road of a person that was using a recording device, putting it underneath dressing room walls and so on, and that person was arrested by our officers this weekend, and it has received quite a bit of attention because it's just such a odd situation. And just wanted to let you know about that. And if anybody has any other questions or so on, you can see me about it, and I'll fill you in on the details. But the stores have all taken precautions to make sure that this can't be repeated. And because of some good work both with the Target store and surveillance by our officers, we were able to make a speedy arrest and end that trend. Two more things. As some of you know, we were starting to have a burglary trend in the evenings at sunset time, and it had all the markings of the trend that we've seen on and off for like the last 10 years. This one group of burglars that hits the entire region, and then they keep, eventually Abington arrests them. We put them in jail, and then one or more of them get out, and then the trend starts up again. And we've gone through this a couple different times. And about 2.5 weeks ago, we started seeing the trend again. The signs were very telltale, and the method of operation. And so we made some dramatic changes in our deployment of personnel, and with the intention not of deterring but of apprehending, because we were confident we knew enough about their MO to do that. And in a remarkably short period of time, they had done a couple burglaries in Abington and a number of them in our surrounding communities, but our officers spotted them, followed them, got them where they were about to do a job in Lower Moreland, made an arrest, and did some really great work getting search warrants and finding a number of the goods that were stolen in previous burglaries. We really have them tied in really tightly on this. It was one of the guys that we put in jail 3 times or 2 times before. This is the 3rd time, and that is going to be going away for a long, long time this time. For a variety of reasons, but it was. I just wanted to warn you about that because we were starting to warn the citizens about that. Commissioner Klein, of course, that was the one we were telling your citizens about, because it was. We saw them up in the area of Ward 2 and Ward 1 there for a short time period, and but that ring has ended, and of course we have not had any matching that MO since that arrest has occurred. And the final thing I have for you tonight, Commissioners, is that at previous public safety meeting we asked you about the issue of using Narcan, issuing Narcan to our police officers, and with the cooperation and training and assistance of our colleagues and second alarmers, we have issued the Narcan, and we've already had a couple of administrations and a couple of saves, and so other places are kind of waiting to see what they're going to do about it. But your direction, we moved forward with it, and we know that the second alarmers do such a great job in those situations, but in the cases where they're a little bit ahead of them and someone is in the verge of death or has completely stopped breathing, doing the administration, I think will save some lives, and it's your direction, that's what we're doing, and it's already working. So I want to make you aware of that, because obviously when we're talking about public safety, there's nothing greater in the tradition of public safety than saving human lives. That's all I have, Madam Chair.
So some of our police officers have used the Narcan?
Yes, there's a group of them from each platoon that has them, Commissioner, so we have Narcan units on the street at all times.
No, I mean, they have administered it.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
You weren't saying
we
the
have
second alarmers were,
two
yeah.
times, and one time was definitely someone that was was unconscious and was not breathing. Now, I just want to give credit where credit's due. That's nothing compared to our colleagues from Second Alarmers. They've done it on numerous occasions. As you know, as the co-chair of the county's task force on heroin and opioid addictions and overdose deaths, it's just the numbers have been staggering around our county, around our region, and all over the nation as far as how often this is happening. And they can tell you stories about people that have been revived 2 and 3 times. So it's happening a lot, but it is working and is saving lives. And so until we find a better and more permanent solution in our society, it's certainly a good thing that we're at least using that.
Thank you. And I wanted to acknowledge that we do have one of our second alarmers out here, Rich Garrett. So do you want to weigh in on this at all, or?
I'm not really involved with it, but Ken Davidson is, and I believe that the officers that are trained have some medical background, but a second or two, even 2 minutes, would save someone's life. And it's something I believe they squirt up their nose. It's a medicine. It's just simple squirt would wake somebody up and bring them back to life again. It's incredible.
Yeah.
We appreciate Chief Kelly and his officers being the first in this area to do it. So, thank you.
It is yeah, you're right, it is the nasal version that we have. And Commissioner DePlacido, you have a question?
I just had a quick question for Chief Kelly. Just to clarify, not all of the officers have the Narcan. It's just one specific platoon, or?
No, it's members, a number of members on each platoon. In other words, the people who have volunteered for this special assignment, and especially, like he was mentioning, the ones that have some medical background or were previously EMTs and things like that, they're the ones that are using it because they're the ones that are most comfortable with it and also the most proficient with it.
Thank you.
Does anybody else have questions for the chief? Thank you for your report. About the Narcan?
Yeah, about what he was just talking about, the burglars that they caught. People who might have goods that these burglars had in their possession, how would they find out about that? We had somebody on Glenbrook also that was charged with theft. How would somebody find out if their goods
Chief, do you want to discuss the process if there's goods involved in the theft? That's up to you if you want to address that or not.
Sure, I'll be happy to get together afterwards and just explain the process on it, but very simply, it is, we go through the things that are found, match them up with the reports that we have, and try to return them that way. However, we will be contacting the victims of the crime and crimes that we believe that they are involved with, and if there are things that aren't returned, we have a display where we bring all the victims in and they attempt to identify their own goods if, in fact, we're not able to get them all back to the rightful owners by based on the reports that we took.
Okay. Yeah, because some people don't report their, a burglary or whatever they normally would, but if something was stolen, maybe from a car, they might not report it. They might say, well, I was stupid, I left my car open. I had a girlfriend who actually lost her purse, and she said, I was stupid. I said, did you report it? She said, no. She said, I just canceled all my credit cards. So there are things like that that are sometimes not reported, and if we know what the process is, it would help. Thank you.
Thank you. And we're going to get to our regular agenda now. We have 3 agenda items on public safety this evening. PS1 is a motion to adopt ordinance number 2091, amending Chapter 156, Vehicles and Traffic, Article 3, Parking Regulations, Section 25, Parking Prohibited at all times, no parking between signs, no parking here to corner, parking prohibited except certain hours, no stopping or standing, for adoption at the regularly scheduled meeting of the Board of Commissioners on April 9th, 2015, and I so move.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any comments, questions from the board? Staff or audience? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. PS2 is a motion to advertise ordinance number 2096, amending Chapter 156, Vehicles and Traffic, Article 3, Parking Regulations, Section 28, Special Purpose Parking Zones for adoption at the regularly scheduled meeting of the Board of Commissioners on May 14th, 2015, and I so move.
Second.
Everybody seconded that one. It's been moved and seconded. Any
Second, third, fourth. We're good.
and third and fourth. Any comments, questions from the board? Staff or audience? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. PS3 is a motion to adopt ordinance number 2092, amending Chapter 155 Traffic Control, Article 1, Automated Red Light Enforcement Systems, Section 155-7, Duties of the Township of Abington, allowing a $35 cost of collection fee to be added to the $100 red light camera fine when the fine is referred to a third-party collection agency for adoption at the regularly scheduled meeting of the Board of Commissioners on April 9th, 2015, and I so move.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any comments, questions from the board? Staff or audience? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. That completes our regular agenda. Are there any? Commissioner Klein.
Thank you. I just wanted to, since Chief Kelly mentioned it, I just wanted to extend my thanks to both you and Deputy Chief Livingood. You guys did an outstanding job. I had a meeting back on March 19th because of the crime issues going on that was brought up by a resident of mine who suggested having a meeting. We had about 30, 35 people here. It was videotaped, so some of the information is actually relevant to everybody in the township, some of the suggestions that Deputy Chief Livingood and Chief Kelly presented, but I wanted to pass along my thanks, and I've probably have received in the neighborhood of 10 to 15 emails or calls from people that had either watched the video that couldn't make it or came to the meeting and were very, very complimentary to the police department and the information that you put out there. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. We appreciate the way you put it together and ran it, and of course, we're always willing to do that for any of the commissioners, but it worked out very well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there a link to that video?
Sorry?
Is there a link to that?
The video is on the Abington Township
Okay.
YouTube channel. It's about 2 hours. There's a slideshow, and there were a fair amount of good questions. But there is a forgetting about the fact that it was centered on a certain area of my ward, not my whole ward. There are some very good suggestions that the chief and deputy chief brought up that are probably relevant for everybody in the township. So.
It's also going to be playing on the channel next week and a half.
Yeah, and I actually should thank Nathan because he put the time in to be here for the video, and Manager LaFever for putting that together. So thank you.
Is what Nathan, what you just said, since you weren't on a microphone, is that?
It's going to be on channel after the committee meetings for about another week and a half or so, till next board meeting starts.
A week and a half on the TV channel. Thank you. Commissioner Spiegelman?
I actually watched it, and it was in fact very informative. I don't normally go out of my way to watch extra Commissioner Klein, but it really was very informative and relative. It was relevant to really any neighborhood, so highly recommended. I made popular.
And I totally understand that. You don't usually do that. Commissioner Hefner.
Thank you, Commissioner Schreiber. I also wanted to express my gratitude and appreciation to Chief Kelly and the members of the police department, particularly around the communication that is involved with sensitive and difficult issues. Some members of your team were in contact with me over the weekend related to the Target matter, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate, as the Commissioner, being informed that way and being able to help shape the communication that goes forward. The activity there, getting this individual really put at ease a number of unnerved people who regularly shop that. So thank you, and thank your team members.
Comments from our audience.
Laura Lehman, Bryant Lane. So I had a couple of things that had to do with safety, and I'll try and go through them quickly. As you know, I tried to bring up the safety at the code enforcement meeting as to how the codes were enforced. And one of the issues is our roads that are crumbling. They are unsafe. I just had a go-round with the information that we got over how the roads were paved and when the roads were paved, and they need to be paved.
I hate to do this to you because I know that this is where you got frustrated last time, but that actually falls under Ed Michelow, who's on Public Works.
We don't worry where it falls under.
He's
I
not
only
here.
have 3 minutes. If you listen,
here.
this is what they did at the last meeting. They
Mrs.
interrupted
Lehman,
the entire time.
I
and then
just
said the 3 minutes were
apologize for
done.
inviting. Just please listen to me,
Okay.
and I will give you your time. But he is not here.
It
That's
doesn't
the
matter. You
So-
can tell him, as head of public safety, anything that's related to safety, you can tell him. If
Well,
you
that
think
will
it's
use
not
up your
related
3
to
minutes
safety,
then.
leave it
You can
to me.
talk about Public Works in your 3 minutes, but then you won't have any time to talk about public
I'm not going to have any
safety.
time because of what you're doing now.
No, I told you I would give you the
Okay.
3 minutes. I'm trying to explain to you, if you want to get the township business done, if the people aren't here who can help you, do the same thing that happened when Chief Kelly, you had an issue under code, and Chief Kelly wasn't there.
He
So
doesn't
if you-
have to be there. You
But then
have-
nobody can answer
When
your
I relay
questions.
something to you that's happening in this township, I expect that you, as the commissioners in charge of what happens, will follow it up. If Chief Kelly or 10 other people who aren't here need to know okay? The
I
particular
understand what
officer
you're
in
saying.
charge doesn't
It is
need
much
to.
more efficient to do it when the person is here, and then you could just get your answer right there and then.
This certainly isn't efficient. So I would appreciate if I could be allowed to speak and not try to guess what section you would like to put it in, and let me put it where I put it, and if we're missing somebody, we'll address it to them later. The important thing is that you know what the problem is and that we get it fixed.
Excuse me,
If
can
you're
I-
not going to do it, I'll have to find somebody else to do it.
Excuse me, but we can't all just put things where we want to put them. We have a rule of order here.
Okay. And that's been used to cut off the speech of residents who cannot guess where you would like to put this, and you haven't even heard it yet, so you couldn't decide where it goes. So let me tell you that, number one, on our roads, okay, they need to be paved more often.
Okay, we will
If this
tell
is
Ed
considered-
Niccolo about that. So do you have anything that has to do with
That's a
safety?
safety issue, and I'm telling the commissioner in charge of safety in this township
Okay, I
that
will
that's
tell
a safety issue.
the people from the
Thank
Public
you.
Works Department. Now,
Thank you.
would you like
Okay.
to go into something that's public safety?
That is public safety, okay? That's number one, because I did nearly trip in the very same thing that I reported to you right afterwards. Okay, so I didn't fall down, I tripped. Okay, so here's the next thing, okay? In the crime meeting, for instance, I would like to ask Chief Kelly. I've had 7 incidents now. Now that I have more information that took me so long to get, okay, and thanks to one commissioner, I do have it, so thank you to that commissioner. That's how it's supposed to work. And we now have 7 incidents within a couple of doors of my door in a year. And I would like to ask Chief Kelly if he thinks that I'm safer because I had 7 incidents, that I won't get 8. Because in the crime meeting that we had, Chief Kelly said that we shouldn't be worried if we've already had crime that we're going to get more crime. Okay? I certainly don't think any one of those 7 has made me any safer and less likely to be burglarized, less likely to be a victim of crime. I would like us to understand that that seemed to me to be false, completely false. In fact, the fact that I had 1 or 2 didn't prevent the other 5. And we need to be, A, vigilant, and B, we need to start employing every effort that we have to combat crime. I understand from the crime meeting, you'll see that the detectives have loads of, it was, I think, 20 or 25 cases each, and we don't have enough to do more. Well, we do have enough for some various programs that keep coming to the podium to count trees or to count historic properties, but we don't have enough to investigate the crime. So that is a public safety issue, and it needs to be dealt with. And the people on Glenbrook, for instance, that has been hit year after year after year, house after house after house in the 1300 block or 1200 block of Glenbrook, are not safer because another house got hit. So I would like to see that addressed respectfully. Okay, you'll see in the crime meeting that that's how it was phrased, and I would like respectfully to address that to you and to have it addressed back, and not to be treated like an attack, but to be treated as though we are having a cogent discussion about what makes us safe in this
Thank you,
community.
I understand.
Okay.
So, Chief Kelly, do you want to address that at this time?
The only thing I can tell you, Madam Chair, is that I think if you look at the tape, you'll see that that's not what was said, and that's all I'll say about that right now.
I have your words right here, Chief Kelly, if you would like.
not gonna go into a
I
back and
certainly
forth.
could read them, okay?
Ms. Latham, we're not going to go through a back and forth.
Okay. But I do.
I did
okay.
ask him if he wanted to address it.
I
and
do
he gave
have
an
Chief
answer.
Kelly's words right here, and I transcribed them so that I didn't make a mistake.
Okay.
And that's what
Thank
I
you.
try to do. I try to bring facts.
Thank
And when
you.
I make a mistake, I like help having the mistake corrected. I don't like to be chastised either. But that's what I want to know. Is it a mistake? What is the understanding here?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Commissioner Klein.
Yeah, I mean, It's hard not to comment about us chastising somebody when we just went through 3 minutes of being chastised. So I think it's very difficult, and I think it's also worth saying that I question a lot of things, as you all know. One thing I would never begin to start questioning is the way in which Chief Kelly and Deputy Chief Livingood investigate and handle investigations for crime issues in the township. They have, way more experience doing that than I could ever hope to have, and I'm sure many people in the state of Pennsylvania should hope to have. And I have all the confidence in the world in our police department, and I think it's completely unfair for somebody who basically complains about every single thing to come up here and actually question the integrity and the ability of the police department. Thank you.
Commissioner Myers, we're not going to go
That was a
back and forth.
personal. Excuse me, I'm speaking. Chief Kelly, I have a question, and I should have asked this earlier, and I apologize. But as many women who have gone to Target, to our Abington Target, and used the dressing room, and will never know who the victims were of this, what will happen to whatever video this criminal took?
That's a good question, Commissioner. We will attempt to use it to identify any potential victims and then to locate them, and possibly through working with the store, that is a possibility of doing that. However, because of the charges we have against this person, it's not necessary to do multiple ones, because we're going to hit them pretty hard with a lot of different crimes. So that's not a key thing. That I can tell you, as the organization that has that film, that those things are not going to see the light of day. They're being treated as evidence. They're locked up in an evidence locker and being treated as evidence, and to do anything else with that evidence would be a violation of law.
Thank you. That's what we wanted to know. Thanks.
Any other comments? Name and address for the record, please.
Raymond Bell, 2076 Parkview Avenue. I thought that the meeting that I saw with Commissioner Klein and the Police Department, Chief Kelly and his deputy, was very informative. But let me offer this also. No one likes crime. No one can prevent crime. But I think if the community is more aware and cognizant of what they can do, and I'll give you one example. My wife has a bad habit of leaving a pocketbook in the car, and I can't tell you how many times I have to tell her not to do that. So I think it's a community as a whole. I don't expect police officers to be everywhere all at one time. But I think as a community, town watcher, what have you, is something that can contribute to minimizing crime in this township. But I can tell you, 34 years, I know I've made a PIA of myself at times with the police department, but I can tell you they respond accordingly. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Sure, and your point is well taken, and we try to do that educational thing because that's where the breakdown often is, and we're hoping to get the word out there. We constantly try to do that, and a few little simple crime prevention things really can go a long way to reducing the crime, far more than, like you said, far more than the officers can do. A simple matter of not leaving things in vehicles, locking the vehicles, locking the homes. And the other key one that sometimes people don't think about is making it look like it's inhabited. And that's really an important thing, especially at sunset. At sunset, you can drive down any street and see the homes where people are home and where they're not at home, just based on if there's lights on. And there's a lot of other little telltale signs, but those are just glaring ones, and so that's one we really encourage people to be on the lookout for. And if we were able to get those things done, the crime would be cut in half right away, because that's almost all of those are crimes of opportunity, like you mentioned, sir.
Thank you. Yeah, I know a number of the commissioners, myself and other commissioners, have put in their newsletters, their e-blasts, those things like locking your door, locking the car door, locking your house door, things like that. Don't put things in visible sight. And maybe it's time, if you haven't done it, I haven't done it in a while, put it in my newsletter. It's maybe been a year, so I might put it back in, and maybe some other people
Well,
will too.
one other important thing that I actually learned at the meeting was, because of the criminals that Chief Kelly talked about earlier, having timers on lights in your house is key, because many people don't come home until later on, and as it gets dusk, these criminals, I think it was these criminals particularly, were looking for houses that were still dark, and they knew that nobody was home. So actually, on top of locking your cars and your house and everything, having timers on your lights to actually show that there might be somebody home is a big deterrent also.
It's really one of the biggest things, Commissioner, that people, other than obviously locking your car doors and locking your home doors, I would say that it's probably the biggest thing you can do to deter crime is to make it look like it's lived in, meaning lights on that make it look like your home, that come on when it gets dark. And as you know, it's such a simple thing. It really is simple. It's inexpensive. It's not expensive like a big alarm system or anything like that. You don't have false alarms or any of those other things to worry about. It's a tremendous deterrent, and it really does work. So we're really kind of pushing that one right now, yes. For some reason, that they tend to do it when the seasons change, and they change the clocks and stuff like that, just like they did this case. I don't know exactly why. I haven't figured that out yet, but that we see an increase in it both in spring and fall when the times are really changing out and changing the clocks. We tend to see more of that.
It's interesting. Maybe people aren't as used to putting their lights on because of the
Timers haven't, people's timers haven't caught up.
It could be, Commissioner, yes.
Yeah, interesting. No further business. Meeting's adjourned.
We have everybody. All right. With the banging of this gavel, I hereby call to order the April 1st, April Fool's Day 2015 Public Affairs Committee meeting of Abington Township. We shall start with the roll call, please. Here.
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 Here. Here. Everybody's here. That's good. All right, let us start with the minutes. This is a motion to approve the minutes of the March 4th, 2015 Public Affairs Committee meeting, and I so move.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any corrections, deletions, omissions?
Before you vote, please, we don't seem to get the minutes anymore. They were coming for a short while in the packet, and we were able to get the minutes so that we could comment too. So before you vote and approve the minutes, wouldn't you want to hear from citizens that might have some problems? So last time, for instance, I was interrupted for 3 whole minutes. I wanted to see how that looked in the minutes. I was interrupted for 3 whole minutes, and then my time was over.
The minutes are not official until approved.
Right, so...
The minutes are not official
The approval of the minutes, it's not that a member of the public has any right to comment on the minutes or suggest changes or suggest to see what they would like to be in there. They are an official record of the meeting that can only be voted on by the elected officials.
And if they're incorrect,
They're not
citizens,
incorrect once they approve them.
once they approve them, they're fact and law?
They're the official record of the meeting.
Solicitor Clark, thank you very much. So let's vote on the minutes.
Commissioner Spiegelman, does that mean citizens have no right ever to correct minutes? Because I think the Sunshine Law allows the
And
right.
you would be completely wrong about that.
Okay.
These are the official records of the meeting, voted on by the elected officials, not commented on by members of the public. If you have a disagreement with them after they're approved, you can raise it at that point in time. But it is what they are saying is the official record of the meeting.
I'm going to deign to the legal experience of Solicitor Clark.
It's also important to say, because we've had this conversation before, that the meeting minutes are not meant to be a verbatim record of the meeting. They're supposed to be a record of what occurred at the meeting, but not a verbatim conversation.
Who was in attendance, who made a motion, who made a second, what the vote was, what members of the public may have spoken, a general flavor of what may have been spoken. It is not meant to be a transcript of the meeting minutes.
And it's also my understanding, I'm sorry, one more question. It's also my understanding that the meeting minutes that we put forth in Abington, from what I've seen, far exceed what a lot of other municipalities put together.
They're a little bit more comprehensive than I see in other places, yes.
Okay, thank you.
It's safe to say that if they were a transcript, some of us are quite eloquent, they would be significantly longer. I think it's pretty safe to say. Getting back to the minutes, all those in favor of approval?
Aye.
Opposed? Oh, now we passed the minutes. That went well. And now we are going to call on our friend, Parks and Rec Director Doug Wendell, for his report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just two main items. One is April 15th, which I believe is Wednesday. That is the last day for discounts on pool memberships. Anybody who mails a membership to the office, it needs to be in our office by 4 p.m. Or if you're bringing them in person, it has to be in our office by 4 p.m. on April 15th in order to get the discount. The other thing is that our brochure has been mailed out. Some people probably have received it already, but the majority, the rest of the township will be receiving it probably within the next week or so. That's the summer brochure.
Thank you very much, Director Wendell.
Wait, can I ask one? When does the
Commissioner Klein has a question.
when does the new calendar go out? Like,
It's out.
is it out?
You didn't get yours?
Might have to find out. I think I was intentionally left off.
Yes, Commissioner Kalinowski.
Doug Wendell. What is the discount and what is the price of a pool membership? I get that question asked a lot, and so maybe if we're on TV, we can people can hear
The discount is $15 on a seasonal membership.
Mm-hmm.
So it's, I don't think that the rates have gone up this year from last year. So for a family of three, I think it's $190. Might be a little bit more than that. Non-residents is a little higher.
Thank you.
I know it's there on the pools page. I always link to the pools page or the Parks and the pool sub page or the Parks and Rec page on the township website.
And the brochure is already available on the website as it is, so.
Yeah.
I got mine.
If you don't get it in the mail, you can look it up online.
Got mine in the mail. Thank you very much. Any more questions for Director Wendell? All right. Moving right along, we have, I believe, in honor of Earth Month, some special guests, our friends from the Environmental Advisory Council. So I'm going to call on Jen Sherwood. Please, if you will kindly introduce our other EAC friends who are here.
Oh, sure. Thank you, Commissioner Spiegelman. Yes, I appreciate you giving us the opportunity to present our annual report each year during Earth Month, which is April. We also have fellow EAC member Michelle Kajalik and EAC Associate Member Karen McGarry-Rosen. She's currently helping us with a variety of projects, and she's very enthusiastic about volunteering with the EAC. So thanks, Karen. Okay, so once a year, it's spring. I'm here, it's April, so officially winter is over in my mind. We've already started our spring events, so I hope you guys can all breathe a sigh of relief of getting through another winter. So we'll talk about our accomplishments this year, and hopefully I'll try to make it as entertaining as I can. So most of you know the EAC, and we'll talk about who we are, what our objectives are, and what our current projects and plans are. So we are 7 volunteers appointed by you, and our terms are 3 years. We currently have 7 members. There's a picture of some of us at an event with our bright green T-shirts. Sometimes you'll see us working at parks around the township for our community events. And our charter is listed in the Code of Abington. Our objectives are to conserve natural resources, protect the environment, advise the township when special issues come up, and of course also to educate the public. So this year, as you might have seen in our annual report, we had 5 areas where we were focusing our efforts. One of them was sustainability. Another one was protecting our water, addressing problems. In this case, this year, our big problem was bamboo, improving open space, and, of course, education again. So when we talk about sustainability, a lot of people's thoughts go to energy efficiency. And in Abington Township, the number 1 use of energy goes to buildings. There was a study done by the Delaware Regional Planning Commission, and they studied each individual township to find out where their energy use was. And so an effort that we decided would be worth our while would be to educate residents and businesses on how they can improve their energy efficiency and conserve energy. So one of our sayings that we have is, don't let money fly out your windows. So each year we host an energy expo, and we had several experts this year, including architects, home energy auditors, a solar business, and a geothermal business, all local businesses who came and presented on different ways to save energy and alternative energy systems. We also have a website on how you can learn about finding green energy suppliers called Make Ben Proud, as in Make Benjamin Franklin Proud by buying green energy. And we have a volunteer that keeps that updated. So we've also been involved in the zoning ordinance effort, and we have been reviewing the ordinance in conjunction with Commissioner Klein to incorporate sustainability, livability, protecting our resources, as in some of the overlays, and of course the alternative energy ordinances, which are new for this zoning round, and of course preserving open space. Okay, our second area of focus is on protecting our water. And you might have heard some people complaining that the water was tasting salty recently, and that was because of, the typical use of salt on the roads in the winter. So one way that we are required to educate the public is because of the MS4 requirements, and I'll talk about what that is. And we also have been offering low-cost rain barrels, helping create and maintain riparian buffers, and this year we started doing water quality monitoring. So just what is MS4? So in townships like Abington, MS4 stands for, we have a municipal separate sewer and storm water system. So that means that our sewers and our storm inlets are separate. They do not combine. In Philadelphia, they combine. And so you might hear of overflows that happen in Philadelphia. So under the Clean Water Act, we are required to reduce our pollution that washes off the land when it rains, sometimes called non-point source pollution. And so the MS4 requires us to have public education workshops. So we host what we call rain barrel workshops, but they're really stormwater workshops and rain barrel workshops, because we also talk about the other ways that you can manage stormwater. So what is stormwater pollution? Like I said, every time it rains, anything that's on the land washes into the creeks. And we've heard about salt recently, but also oil from cars, litter, fertilizers, pesticides, and dog waste. Our stormwater inlets go directly into the creek. There's no treatment of that water. So as much as we can help keep those pollutants out of the water, the better our water supply will be. A lot of our water supply comes from creeks and rivers, and all of Philadelphia's water comes from creeks and rivers, most notably from the Wissahickon and the Schuylkill. So everyone can help. In fact, our township staff has received training on keeping, for example, keeping the township yard clean so that these pollutants aren't washing into the storm drains, and also the EAC has been doing some resident education as well. So the way we structure our workshops is through the rain barrel workshops, and that way the first part of it is educating about stormwater and pollution, and the second part is about why rain barrels work so well and how you can use them and how they can also help our residents save money. And we've been very lucky to have the Township Public Works Department and the Parks Department help us with this program, and we've had some wonderful volunteers, especially the students. The big change this year is that we started this program with a grant, and now the program is self-funding. So if you come to one of our workshops, we can also show you how you can fit a rain barrel in a convertible. This was a challenge. And that was at our workshop at the library last summer. So in 2014, we sold 66 barrels, had some workshops. And over the past 3 years that we've been doing this program, we've sold 216 barrels, which is capturing almost 500,000 gallons a year with just these barrels. And these are just the ones we've sold, but you could also buy barrels commercially, so, it all adds up to a significant number. Another way that we're helping protect our water is with riparian buffers. And just what is a riparian buffer? It's an area along a stream or a river that's planted with vegetation which acts as a sponge to help soak up the runoff coming off the land. And it also helps as a filter to filter out the pollutants, to try to prevent them from going into the streams. So this particular one that we've done this year was led by the Tacony-Tacony-Frankfurt Watershed Partnership and the Abington Friends School. So there were a couple grants received for it. We had a wonderful day with a whole bunch of volunteers, and Commissioner Jones came out along with, Representative Madeline Dean, and also you see Julie Slavitt from the TTF Watershed, Patrick Starr from Pennsylvania Environmental Council, and Ms. Mistretta from Abington Friends School. So we planted 300 trees, shrubs, and flowers, and created a nice buffer. And it's also sort of an outdoor classroom for the students to learn why these sort of projects can help with water quality. Okay, so in addition, a new project this year is to do water quality monitoring. So are these projects working? We all want to know. And who wants to know? The William Penn Foundation wants to know. So they are backing a lot of these grant projects, and they want to know how well they work and which ones work the best. So they identified several what they call clusters with water issues in the Delaware River watershed. And one of those is called the Upstream Suburban Philadelphia Cluster, and that includes Abington. There are actually 5 watersheds in this study, of which Abington is in 3. So we're in the TTF, we're in the Pennypack, and we're in the Wissahickon. So they asked for volunteers. The program is being led by TTF and Wissahickon and Pennypack in partnership. We have several sites in Abington that are being monitored by volunteers, and of course they are still inviting volunteers to join the effort. So I'm one of the volunteers. We go out once a month. We each pick a site, and we monitor the same site every month. And we make observational and chemical tests. So these are pictures of training over at Lorimer Park, and the one on the top is the Abington Junior High Green Thumbs kids helping out with learning how to do testing. So far the results are looking good. Okay, this year we were asked to address a special problem, which was the issue of aggressive growing bamboo. And we appreciate Commissioner Jones' effort to lead this and try to reduce the amount of property damage that's being created by bamboo growing into people's properties. My own aunt and uncle had bamboo that they planted grow into the wall of their house and out through the cathedral ceiling. So this is no joke. This stuff can be really destructive. So thanks to Commissioner Jones, we were able to pass the ordinance in November, and we hope that it will help prevent the spread. Another focus area was, of course, improving open space. This is a picture of Jackson Park, which we've been doing some work in. And we host cleanup days, work days. We've maintained the existing riparian buffers at Roslyn Park and Rochester Park. And, of course, we're always taking care of trees and planting flowers. So I sort of lumped these together because we just have so many events going on. And I just calling them cleanup events. But, you know, we're part of a bigger picture here. It's not just a couple of volunteers going out and planting flowers, but we're part of the Great American Cleanup of PA and part of the International Coastal Cleanup, which is all part of Keep America Beautiful. Now, when they asked me to do International Coastal Cleanup, I laughed. I said, well, we're not a coastal community. But they said, oh, but your creeks drain into the ocean, so you are affecting the oceans. And I said, okay, I can see that. So the trash we throw away in Abington is going to wind up in the Atlantic Ocean. So everything we do can help. And we actually keep track of the trash that we pick up. We report it to them, and it goes into their international numbers. It's really amazing. So the great thing about these community cleanups is that not only are you sprucing things up, but you're involving the community. And the important thing there is that it's creating that sense of ownership. And people in the neighborhoods love to come out and work on projects together. So it helps strengthen those relationships. And so for us, it's just really great. And you can see our list of partners at the bottom, you know, neighborhood groups, scouts, churches, you know, the township departments. It's a really great project. Okay. So we even have commissioners come out, and let's see. So we were doing our biggest cleanup last year was led by Commissioner DePlacido over at Fox Chase Park, which I didn't even know was part of the township because it's the border with Philadelphia. And I'm like, that's not a township park, but he showed me that it was, and it hadn't ever been cleaned up by the EAC, so it was a great candidate. I think we picked up over 800 pounds of trash. Wow. So that was quite an effort. And then our picture at the bottom there is the Abington High School H2O for Life Club, and they did a cleanup in the fall at Lorimer Park. They were close behind with 400 pounds. So thanks, everyone, for keeping Abington beautiful. And if you'd like to do a cleanup this year, or if you have a spot in your ward that needs some attention, we'd be happy to come out. Just let us know. I see some nods. Mm-hmm. And this is our list of scheduled cleanups so far. Here we have President Luker with the Girl Scouts at Grove Park. So it's a lot of fun, and the kids love it. So come on out and join us.
If we do a cleanup, can we get a hat like Commissioner Sanchez? That was my own.
Not a giveaway.
Okay, we'll see. We'll give you a T-shirt.
Jen, can you go back a slide?
Sure.
I just want to see the
Uh-huh. Well, these dates are posted on our website. Okay. We should have them on our Facebook,
yes.
too. You know, or I'll let you know when they are. So I think our next one in your ward is Roslyn Ridge, which is April 11th.
Oh, that's right near my house.
Right across from the Roslyn train station.
Right.
Okay. So another part of our work is educating the public. We host workshops throughout the year. We go to all the community events like the Night Out. We have displays at the various places, and we have great social media. Here's our picture of a rain barrel demonstration at the Grove Park at the Shade Tree Commission's Arbor Day event last year.
Jen, before we go on to the next slide, can I just say, it has been so great, all of the social media updates. It's made it so convenient to get the word out quickly, to have things to copy and paste and link to for our newsletters and whatnot. So that I really have noticed that recently. So
great, okay. And we appreciate all the commissioners sending out our events in their newsletters because it's a great way to get the word out to people. So
the Arbor Day event is a lot of fun. I went last year, and if you've never seen the Grove property, you get a little tour and everything. It's really good.
Yeah, so the Grove Park event is coming up on April 25th. It's run by the Shade Tree Commission, and we will have a host of different demonstrations, hands-on work, and there's also going to be a chainsaw carving demonstration. Okay, 2015 events. Okay, so we also, participate with Briarbush, Arbor Day, and, of course, our Montgomery Award is coming up, and the Night Out. So save those dates. Our Montgomery Award is our annual environmental award to someone who's made a difference in the township, and this year's recipient was the High School H2O for Life Club. Not only do they raise awareness for local issues, but their main goal is to bring clean water and awareness about worldwide water issues. So I believe this year their project is for a community in India. So they raised money last weekend or the weekend before. They had a walk for water at Alverthorpe Park to raise money for their projects. So if you know someone, you can nominate them. You can submit your nomination any time of the year, but we close nominations for the year on April 30th so that we have time to give the award in July. Okay? But wait, there's more. This is Kaki's slide. All right, so a goal for 2015 is what we call livability. So sustainability is sort of morphing into livability because we get these wonderful awards like the best places to live. But sustainability sort of is like, well, okay, energy efficiency, recycling, but livability is a little more inclusive. So one of our goals is to help improve our communities, live up to our reputation as the best places to live, and also about developing partnerships, which I like to think we've been doing for, for many years. And I think we work pretty well with a lot of the community groups and the commissioners and the township. So we, in order to help us achieve these goals of improving our community, we've been investigating using the STAR Communities tool, which is a tool to help us measure and to help us plan and develop plans for the future. So in this year, we hope to create a baseline of sort of where we're at in Abington, and then develop our plans for where we want to go. And it's a volunteer effort, and we would like to, ask you if you know anyone who would be interested in helping with the effort. It really involves people all across the community. So that's going to be one of our major focuses this year. And how you can help as commissioners is, once again, you can help promote our events and our initiatives in your newsletters, talk about improving livability, and we have meetings every month, second Wednesday of the month. And of course, there's all our contact information. You can find that from our website or from our Facebook. And we want to thank you for helping Abington go green. And we really appreciate the opportunity to let you know what we're up to these days. Thank you.
Jen, thank you. Thank you so much. I had a quick question. I'm putting you on the spot, sort of a random question, but you said the DVRPC study had showed, of all areas, showed that for us, the number one energy user is buildings. Mm-hmm. Was that pretty par for the course for like our neighboring communities and whatnot, or were we unusual in that regard?
No, that's pretty typical for a suburban first ring suburb. Where the majority is businesses and residential. We don't have very much industrial, so that's going to vary if you have a lot of industry. So it depends on what your township is made up of. But considering neighboring communities, that's pretty typical.
Great. Does anybody on the board here have any questions? Commissioner DePlacido.
Just one quick thing. I would seriously recommend you taking Jen up on that offer for helping out. If you do have a portion or a park in your area or a whole park, out of those 15 trash cans that we contain, I think Jen filled about 10 of them on her own. She's amazing.
Thank you.
For that.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Klein.
I'm glad to see that the EAC is getting involved in the upstream cluster, because we had a presentation about the whole effort of the Delaware River watershed from TTF and Wissahickon in front of the County Planning Commission, and just the whole entire effort that William Penn Foundation has been funding for the whole Delaware River cluster is a huge effort, and the fact that we're involved is a great thing, because they are relying on a lot of volunteers. So thank you.
They are, and that's a great effort. And they have, I think, 8 focus areas in the Delaware River watershed. The Delaware River watershed goes all the way up to New York State. It also includes a lot of... Yeah, way up there.
Yeah.
And also includes a lot of New Jersey. So, for example, the New Jersey Pinelands Aquifer is one of their focus areas.
Right. Yeah, it's a great effort.
Commissioner Jones.
First of all, thank you for the presentation. I think it was wonderful. One of the things as a commissioner that I also think not everybody is aware of, that there are a lot of decisions that on a ward-by-ward basis, commissioners are asked to give input on, and EAC has weighed in and given guidance and advice on any number of situations that allow decisions to, not that the EAC is necessarily making the decision, but they've come and said, hey, look, here are the facts, this is what you want to watch out for, and I think it's been a great help to the township and a great help to the commissioners. So thank you for that. I'd like to ask the township manager, put him on the spot, and I don't know if you had the information for this because it's on the spot, but I've been told that elected officials, no one up here, none of us, are very enamored with shiny objects and numbers. If somebody were to say, what type of financial impact does this organization bring to Abington Township? I don't know if it could be quantified, but what are some of the areas that you might quantify?
Not to put them on the spot.
It'd be almost impossible,
answer
particularly on the spot, to quantify the efforts between the members of the committee, the sub-members of the committee, and the efforts they make as a community as a whole. It's really incredible. So just off the top of my head, there's no way I could even begin to try to quantify that effort.
If somebody held you to it and said that they were hitting six figures, would you feel comfortable that their contribution, would you feel comfortable standing behind that?
I wouldn't be surprised.
No, I'm talking about if you could quantify in dollars, the services, the input, the savings, the education, everything that this organization brings to the township. If you could quantify that in a dollar amount, put a price value on it, what are they bringing to the township?
I think Director Wendell, not to interrupt you, Mr. Manager, but do you have some input?
Just speaking from, our experience of having volunteers do cleanups in various parks, Valley Road and Applethorpe and Pembroke, the number is minimum of tens of thousands of dollars when you consider the fact that our employees would have to be out there doing that, and at their rate of pay for the hours that they would have to do that, it's tens of thousands of dollars every year.
For the township or for your department?
Just for my department.
Thank you.
And I can speak for the EAC. We don't track everything we do. We pretty much only track the things where we're reporting our data, such as the Great American Cleanup and the International Coastal Cleanups. We do keep track of the Rain Barrel as well. So for the numbers that we track, it's about $25,000 to $30,000 a year. But that's just for those particular projects. Thank you.
That works.
I didn't want to ask you because then it might seem like you were bragging.
We underestimate. Additionally, there are some studies done by the Montgomery County Planning Commission. They put out a nice flyer called Return on Environment, and it actually does discuss the value of environmental assets, such as trails and parks. Like houses that are within a certain distance of a park generally have more value than if they're further away from a park. So they actually do have a brochure that I can get for you that shows you some of those quantified values. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Jen, thank you very much, Jen and Michelle and Karen and Kaki and everybody else, the whole team. Thank you for your countless volunteer hours and all the energy that you bring to the EAC. So really, thank you, and that was a great presentation. And with that, we're going to start our huge formal agenda, which starts and hopefully ends with PA1. This is Resolution Number 15-019, authorizing the disposition of certain administrative office records. It's a motion to approve Resolution Number 15-019, authorizing the disposition of senior citizen transit identification cards dated between January 1st, 1986 and December 31st, 1999, and right-to-know requests dated 2012 and prior, and I so move.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any comments from the committee? From commissioners in general? Staff? Anything? And audience? Name and address, please, for the record.
Laura Lehman, Meadowbrook. And I would very much like to see the right-to-know requests before they're destroyed, please.
File a right-to-know request.
Thank you, Solicitor Clark. All right. Commissioner Jones.
This is for the solicitor. So I assume that there's a regular cycle that these things are thrown out.
Correct.
So if I'm somebody who does want to see things, could my wanting to see things interrupt that cycle, or does the township have to anticipate that somebody would want to see and then therefore disrupt their cycle?
I don't know that question exactly because I have never had someone file a right-to-know request for other people's right-to-know requests. So I can't even tell you off the top of my head whether or not someone else's right-to-know request is a public record. So if one gets filed where somebody wants to look at somebody's right-to-know request, we would have to take a look at that issue and determine whether or not it's a public record. As to whether or not it interrupts the regular cycle, again, Abington goes above and beyond every other municipality that I work for in announcing what records they're getting ready to destroy. Every municipality I work for has a record retention policy on the books, and then we just destroy records without making it an agenda item like we do here. This is an extraordinary amount of transparency in what we're about to destroy. Since I've never dealt with this issue before, I don't know what happens when somebody files a right-to-know request for something we're getting ready to destroy, whether or not we have to wait until the appeal period is run or whatever, and whether or not senior citizen transit cards from 1986 to 1999 have to remain stored up somewhere for weeks or months until the appeal period runs. Candidly, I've just never dealt with this issue before. So if one gets filed before next Thursday, because if this gets approved next Thursday, I know Manager Lefevre is very efficient. They'll probably be destroyed on his way home that night. We'll have to take a look.
File before the vote. Thank you.
Obviously, municipal legal history is just unfolding directly in front of us.
Something's unfolding.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that.
A little bit exciting, isn't it?
Actually, honestly, I did not know what happens when someone files a request for a right-to-know request for something about to be shredded. So now I think we know. All right. All in favor, PA1?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. PA1 has passed, and that is our formal agenda. Any comments from committee or commissioners on anything of public affairs, staff, and audience?
My Lord.
You have to write fast to keep up with you guys. Okay, so basically...
Name and address, please, for the record.
Laura Lehman, Meadowbrook.
Fool's Day.
So just because your next-door neighbors got hit or burglarized does not mean that you're going to have the chance of getting, or your chance of getting burglarized goes up. In fact, the exact opposite is true. Chances are they're not going to come back to the same neighborhood anytime in the foreseeable future because of the obvious reasons. Okay? I think you know whose words they are. And this is about communication. That communication was denied
he's not here to
me.
protect himself.
I'm just going to, 3 minutes.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. That communication was denied to me during the public safety. I consider it a huge issue of public safety to have somebody who is in our highest office, who understands that around me it's been hit 7 times, okay, within doors of my house, who, in fact, the police officers who just arrested these 2 fellows that they were talking about went back to the place they were initially spotted, right back at where there was a burglary. So that particular thing that was told to the residents in the crime meeting is just not true. And that's the conversation I would like to politely have in this township, politely, with respect, and not having my own commissioner slam me as somebody who complains about everything, instead of answering my questions and being concerned about his own constituents, who are also his neighbors. Those people were, in fact, causing a problem because they were going back to the same place, and our police chief said something completely different. When residents are slammed and really forced to go away from the podium and stay away from reporting this kind of stuff, we are all not only less safe, but we have a communication problem caused by the very people right here who are supposed to be facilitating people's entrance into their government. And I would like very much for all of you to be concerned about your neighbors, my neighbors, and the people that you have agreed to serve. So in particular, the issue about the roads, that I brought up as a public safety issue is also a communication issue. Apparently, my commissioner and Mr. Micolo knew that they had given me false information when they reported 3.6 miles, which they were going to then say was 11 miles because of Agua, okay, and try and make me look foolish in the meeting as though I had erroneous information. I'd like to see that stop. I'd like to see if they made an error and they knew they told me the wrong number.
Okay, your 3 minutes have expired. Your 3 minutes have
Very
expired.
nicely done, Commissioner Spiegelman. You're actually part of the problem with that.
All right, you know what? Your 3 minutes have expired. No, your 3 minutes have expired.
Why
please,
did others
please be
get
seated
more-
because I have.
why did others get-
You are out of order. Please be seated.
I am.
I gave
I
you
wanna
3
know
minutes
why
and I did
others
not.
had more than
no,
3
minutes. You are out
Am I
of
the
order.
only
Please
one
be
who
seated.
gets 3?
You are out of order. Please be seated.
Am I the only one?
You are out of order. Please be seated now.
Or
I'm going to gavel the meeting, but first I would like to point out for the record that the comments made pertained to public safety, which is the committee that met earlier for folks watching on television, and when Chief Kelly was present, and now Chief Kelly is not present to answer any of those comments. In addition, they pertain to Public Works, which met last Monday, two nights ago, when the Speaker was
about
present.
the communication.
And tonight, Mr. Micolo is not present to defend himself. We're all here to defend ourselves, if we so desire, against the constant barrage of insults from the same person complaining against so-called personal slams. But I don't think any of us want any of this to go on any longer. So with that, this meeting is adjourned.